welcome to the show, everyone. On this episode, we are talking about networking. And key points to take away is that networking is different things to different industries. My version of it is different than anybody else's here on the table. So be listening for that. And we have some tactical things that you can put into your process starting hopefully tomorrow or immediately after you listen to this episode to have better results. If you're listening to this and you know someone else who is struggling, please share it with them. Everything is at Sales Throwdown on social media. If you have questions or stories or want us to dig in on something you're struggling with, we'd love to do that. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the main event. In the D corner, we have Clint the Cleaver Bigelow. In the I corner, we have Al the Gambler Daniel. In the S corner, we have Nan the Promoter Foreman. In the C corner, we have John Small Mountain Hill. Let's get ready to throw down!
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today we're talking about networking. And the reason why we're talking about it is because it takes on some different forms depending upon who you're talking to at the table. Clint has talked a lot about going out with, job runners and, kind of building relationships and things like that. And I'll have to do a fair amount of that as well. And networking in my world is a little bit more trying to build relationships that way people will refer me. So I don't have to network with my clients as much. So there's kind of a gap between those two things.
It's almost like you legitimized your version versus ours.
No,
my world is more like
that
really getting business done, but
That's
you guys
not the
just
intention.
goof off in your network.
Well, because
Where are you going with that?
Well, because we've talked about the fact that y'all's selling cycle is much longer than mine, right? So, for Clint,
Clint's
Clint's is.
Ours
Yeah.
can vary a lot.
Okay,
So,
that's completely fair. Most of my selling cycles are pretty short, and so if I'm out networking, it's much more about, hey, who do you know that I should be talking to, as opposed to networking with a potential client because the selling cycle is longer.
And you brought up a good point. Yours is maybe a little bit quicker than ours at certain times, but our networking allows us to stay in that selling cycle around some of these individuals
Absolutely.
that we want to keep that door open or face in front of.
Sure.
Well, and we're kind of limited. We're not as broad as probably the rest of y'all are. The other two.
Broad, be specific when you use the word
We
broad.
don't have as many clients out there as the
Oh, that's true.
True.
other guys
Yeah,
do.
that is.
Or because I heard you say broad, and I was thinking I think you offer
Broad.
to your
Yeah, meaning
clients
I
a
thought it
much
was-
broader
Yeah, I thought you
offering
were talking
than what
about
I
bag
offer
of
or what
goods.
Clint
Yeah.
offers.
No, yeah, you're right. Our clientele in certain arenas is kind of limited geographically because
Correct.
there are just
Sure.
only so many in town.
Mhm.
And we're mainly here in the Metroplex, Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, to be specific.
Clint?
Go Cowboys.
You say broad, I just think women. Sorry.
Well, we are talking about
knew he was
networking,
gonna
aren't we?
Clint, go ahead. That's an opening for you, obviously.
So, yeah, Clint, tell us about your networking activities and make it PG.
And I don't think we need to bring up the bunny situation.
bunny ranch?
again.
Well, that was an analogy in another episode.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
let's
All
hear
right.
him out on this side on this topic.
Networking, for me, it's a lot of different things, right? So it's conferences, it's a big networking, and
Yeah.
construction is
Sure.
huge, right? That's kind of maybe once a year when you get all your customers and future customers and all the players and partners that you need under one roof. For me, that's a big. It's money well spent usually to go to those things, right? For me,
Can I ask you a question? So, and we have a little bit of that in our world. Is that the thing where business during the day and then hang it out at night?
yeah, I think it's pick who you want to party with,
Yeah.
kind of
Okay.
deal. Where
Yeah,
it's
start
like,
in your little coveys and
but
start.
that's where bonding and rapport for me usually starts,
Sure.
right? That's relationship builders, and I'm not talking about going out to, to the bar till 3 a.m. Sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes that happens because
well, the client
because you're
wants
having
to
fun.
Yeah,
Or
yeah, it's just
not
a
even
good time.
not
Yeah.
even about the client. Maybe
Yeah.
you're just having fun,
Good
right?
time.
And that's what it takes to build trust
Mm-hmm.
and build commonalities. It doesn't, alcohol's pretty good tool for loosening lips usually, right?
Sure.
Sometimes. I mean, I hate
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
throw that
It's
out there.
true,
as
though.
a-
I mean,
it is, yeah.
we speak the truth there.
Especially,
Yeah.
especially if you're buying,
Well,
right?
yeah.
There is that law of
Yeah.
reciprocation that if you do something nice for someone, they want to do something nice for you. So
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not telling you to go out there and get loaded and take a customer and get loaded, but
It happens.
it happens, right? And take advantage of what the situation
No,
is.
you're usually just building bond. You're like,
Yeah.
hey, you're a good guy, man.
Yeah.
A lot of times it's just, I like hanging out with
Well,
you. Yeah.
so it goes out to that true self form, right? So we can pretend a few hours out of the day to be this certain person that we maybe truly aren't, but we're trying to act. And eventually in a business relationship or any relationship, that truth kind of comes out, right? But in those instances when there's no real gravity tying you to each other, it's just having fun, you kind of loose, you're in that environment where it's just a real casual business setting, your true self is usually there, right? And so if you can build
Agreed.
relationship in those environments, then they're true relationships in my book.
Yeah.
Right.
I'd agree.
So,
with
And-
that.
so it's really important.
And you can get a lot of work done because you're in that environment that's talking about business while you're relaxing and being
That's
yourself.
what I'm saying. Yeah.
And so the two meet in the middle a lot of times at these networking events.
it's the truest form of rapport.
Right.
In my,
And you
Well-
fact find about kids and where they go to school or what neighborhoods you live in and what social circles you revolve around because it opens that social avenue, but still coupled with, hey, we're here because we're all pulled together because of a business conference.
Yeah.
Or what are you seeing at the conference that you like? So you interject that along the lines with, hey, where do your kids, my kids, what are their age groups? What do they do? That
it's
kind of
what we should be doing on a Tuesday in a conference room with our customer.
hard to get there though on Tuesdays.
Maybe. Well, the point of it is that
I
the
mean, my
info-
bus sometimes just doesn't
I
take
agree,
me
and
there.
that's why we have to network, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have to build that relationship outside of that conference room or that office,
Mhm.
so that when we do get there, we've already done all this stuff and established things to get there. That's, to me, that's what networking truly is about.
Agree.
Networking to some, I think, means that we're trying to go out and find new clients. We're trying to go out there and find new stuff.
Yeah, and that's how I view it.
Sure, and I do too.
Boring.
Just more.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
You
not
know,
me.
so hold on a second though, because you said boring,
I-
and
Joking.
well, no,
Tongue in cheek.
but I think that some people, excuse me, would hate my version of networking, right? Because for some it sounds very transactional. It's not.
I was going to say you're very calculated.
Well, describe your.
But wait a second, I've
version
been
of
to some of
networking.
your stuff, like the golf thing that you guys do at Top Golf.
True.
Can I say
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Top Golf?
yeah, of course,
Okay.
yeah. So
And that was a lot of fun.
yeah.
And
That's fun.
yeah.
So I'm part of a networking group. We meet each week, and then once a year, annually, we put on an event, and all the proceeds go to benefit a local nonprofit that works with families where there's a cancer diagnosis, and it's awesome, right? And it's once a year, and we bring in everybody we can, and it's a really good time. But over and above that, the networking happens in that meeting each week, right? We're there every Thursday at lunch talking about what are you working on, what's important to you, where are you struggling, stuff like that. You're smiling. What's going on?
sounds like the chess club to me, but go ahead.
I mean,
and I love chess. Don't
here's
get me
the deal,
wrong. I'm
though.
not knocking any of that. but-
because this is where I get really into networking is
Mhm.
that everyone in that room has a really clear understanding of what I do and who I'm trying to help, right?
Okay.
And that doesn't happen in that room, right? So if you're
You said in that room, and then you said it doesn't happen in that room.
well, correct, right? Because I meet people there and we have our weekly meeting, but I'm reaching out to those people to go have coffees or to go have
outside of
absolutely,
that room.
right?
Okay.
Because
I'm with you.
everyone only has a certain amount of time to kind of talk about who they want to talk to and what they're trying to get accomplished and stuff. And so for me,
it's like
I'm
speed dating.
exactly right, a little
I
bit.
like it. Yeah.
So I'm trying to reach out to those people. If you have a question about like what I do or who I'm looking for, awesome. Let's get coffee. When do you want to chat? Because then we can sit down. And the first 30 minutes of that, I'm putting that back on you. Who are you looking to meet?
See, that doesn't
what is a
happen
good-
in our arena. I mean,
Well-
but it's just not part of our culture for
I agree.
medical
No,
sales.
for sure.
Right.
But like what I'm
It's-
trying to do is I'm trying to deputize the 15 people in that room so that
Love
way
it, man. You getting a posse together. Man.
Exactly,
You
a little
guys
bit.
It's a
You guys
start.
are riding
Right.
hard into
Because-
the,
Because here's the deal, right? Let's say there's 20 people in that room and all 20 of those people know 50 people that I don't. And they're now listening for things around, hey, I'm not happy with the gaps on my sales team. Or I want to hire a salesperson, but I have no idea and I'm just terrified and so I'm not going to do it. So if they're listening for that stuff and then saying, hey, you know what? You need to talk to John. That makes my life a ton easier,
sure.
right?
No, I like it.
As
Absolutely.
opposed to me trying to go find all those people individually. So
'Cause
that's
You get a bunch of medical sales guys in there, right?
I know.
That shit goes sideways real quickly. Well, tell me, and they're like, I'm not telling you shit
Exactly.
over there, mister.
But to that
Yeah.
point, though, whenever I worked for you, Christmas and the holiday season is crazy with the
Yeah,
parties.
we do that
And
kind of stuff.
Nanette crushes it.
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Because I feel like in y'all's world, whenever I was there, at least everyone was in a fight for themselves. Like every man for themselves, every person for themselves. Screw everybody else. But Nanette has got this ability at these. There was this huge Christmas party. It was at Del Frisco's Grill,
Oh, I totally
and
remember.
it was open bar, and so
And she just makes
we
the
were
room.
getting after it. And she is working the room like a politician, but just
An
mingling.
honest politician.
Yeah,
oh, that's
exactly.
no, wait a minute.
But-
There's no such thing as
Oxymoron.
that. Yeah, exactly.
Everybody knows her, and she's just moving from clump to clump to clump to clump. And this is back before I had started working on any of this stuff. And so I'm just like, Al told me not to talk to anyone until the night was new,
Absolutely
you know?
not. I did
He
not.
did not.
But you only got 3 words.
Exactly, right? But
Use them
so-
wisely.
So like seeing her, I had this moment of like, man, I'm never going to be like her. I'm never going to be this person who can just do this kind of thing. But I kind of do it in my own way. It's just a different way than how she does it.
Right.
So that was a really
DISC.
relevant.
Well, if you tried, it wouldn't be very natural, and the
Yeah,
relationship that you
aggressive.
built would suck.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So-
Which is why my first 15 minutes, if I'm sitting down to have coffee and I'm networking with someone who doesn't know what I do, I'm not talking business at all. Right? Hey, what do you do when you're not working? Right? Because I love my hobbies, as you guys all know, right? Martial arts and bicycling and poker and stuff. And then business and sales. Like those are my big 5 things.
Which brings up a point.
Yeah.
When you and the doc, remember you came over to the clinic?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
absolutely.
man. He had the best conversation.
And that
with
dude has met me before and did
Oh.
not remember it, but I guarantee he remembers me now.
Yeah. I mean, the way that worked, man, I let it just run.
Yeah.
That was beautiful, man.
Yeah.
You guys connected. He
Yeah.
wants to go hang out with you
Yeah,
because of that.
It's
And
so funny.
I only say that just so that I don't divulge who I do business with.
Yeah.
Because he may not want his name put out here.
Right.
For sure.
But John came in and crushed it right there in the office at one of my clinics
Yeah.
with the doc that I work with.
And I've thought about that conversation actually a couple of times since it happened as well, and I've been meaning to talk to you about it because that dude has met me before, but it was in a situation back before I'd done any of this
You
work.
probably taking his money or he was taking yours.
Well, no, I met him when I was working with you.
Oh, okay.
Right? We all
Gotcha.
had lunch
He's-
together.
That's doctors for you, though. Man,
No, I
they-
get
they
it.
Can only think so far down the road.
I hadn't done any of this work. I didn't know who I was. I didn't have a framework or process. I was just kind of winging it. And so we all went to lunch, and I didn't really say very much because I didn't know really what to do and everything
Gotcha.
else. And you walked me into his office, and you said, "Hey, do you know this guy?" And he's like, "No," and I was like, "No, I don't. You know, I've never seen him at a poker table." And then he gets up, he comes around his desk, he comes over, and he's like, "Hey, like, where are you playing cards at?"
You guys were talking about the same people who play
Yeah.
poker together.
Yeah, it was
and
really crazy.
Fat Mike and Silly
Exactly.
Billy and the food at this place and
But
the
like,
limits
what
at
was
that
crazy
place.
is that rapport got established immediately,
Oh.
and he was like, "Hey, let me give you my number, and then when the game runs
Exactly.
again, text me and let me know
He's-
because I want to go."
This is how that
Exactly.
was. I wish I had videotaped that because you could sell that online.
Well, if I had that
As
kind
a
of savvy
template.
whenever I worked for you, like kind of like I do now, I think it would have been entirely different, and I'd probably still be working with you.
And you'd be buying that jet airplane.
Exactly, for myself.
And
but
me.
At least
So-
he'd give me a ride, right?
so I spent the
So
first
what's stopping you guys from going back to this?
oh man,
Jet airplanes? I'm in.
Hey, write this on your calendar, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh no.
I just got off. I left North Carolina. Had to get up our time at 2 a.m. Their time 3 a.m. to get a 6 o'clock flight out.
Mhm.
Screw that shit. Guys, sign up. I need a jet airplane. I'm like that minister. The congregation needs to give.
That's terrible.
I got some good work to do out there, folks. Get on board. Daddy needs a jet airplane.
That's called being attached to the business. That's what that's that's a sure representation of that if I've ever seen it. So back to networking, right? So when I'm
That's
networking,
what I was just doing.
I was gonna say that's what he was doing.
so when I'm networking, I'm trying to deputize other people, right? To like,
I
hey,
love that term. Deputize
Deputize.
other people.
I don't even know where I
Put
heard
a
it. I don't
posse
even
together.
think. That's right. Yeah.
Yellowstone.
And because of that, I'll get reach outs. Hey, you should talk to John about this. You should talk to John about this. And then because I've also kind of built this persona of someone who likes to make introductions, each week I try to make 5 introductions within my network, right? Hey,
Mhm.
you guy, you need this. You talked about this. You guys should meet. And sometimes it's just you're cool and you're cool. We talked about the same topic. I think you guys should know each other. So because of that, everybody knows that I'm going to make a bunch of introductions and try to get people networked and stuff like that. And so because of that, everybody's willing to meet with me. Right. So
like it.
I'm playing the long game there.
Mhm.
I take a lot of meetings and a lot of coffees that are trash. Right. They're not super beneficial to me and my bottom line.
Sometimes that leads to something
But
else.
I have had people come
It
back.
sounds like you're okay with that, though. I mean, it's part of the process.
Yeah.
Here's the deal:
How
not
are you
every
gonna
prospect
know?
is qualified to buy from you as well.
Sure.
Right. So it's taking
It's
that
the
and just
same
managing
principle.
my time around both of those things. But I
Gotcha.
have had people come back and say, "Hey, meeting with you and those introductions have completely changed my business," which is
Oh,
awesome.
that's
I
good.
mean, I'm like, hey,
It's
I love
almost a
that.
humanitarian kind of reach out as well, right?
Right. I
Helping-
kind of
helping
believe in
them.
the karmic loop
Oh, sure.
around business, right? If I make enough introductions for other people, then they'll start bringing them back to me, and then all ships rise.
And I think Zig Ziglar kind of started that. If
Oh,
you
really?
do enough right things for the right reasons for the right people,
Oh, yeah.
then that comes back. Look, Clint is about to
My first
choke
time,
himself over
my
here.
first time hearing that,
But
hearing
you
that
do
quote,
good things for people.
well, yeah. I mean, the conference where this idea originated was the first time that I saw that quote. You can have enough. You can have everything you want if you help enough other people get what they want.
Right.
And in that moment, my why behind all my business has changed. And
Very
I don't know
good.
if we talked about that or not, but that's the first time that I've ever heard that quote seen attributed to Ziegler. But
That's where
Okay.
that quote came from. And I paraphrased.
Because
made
he
it my own.
said it was.
Oh, what is it? Do you know? You have
Look
some
at that body
information?
language on Clint. He's got the arms
Nobody else
crossed.
claimed it, so he said, "Yeah, I'll put my name on that shit."
Oh,
help.
don't
help.
kick a man when he's
Stop.
dead.
We
And I
love
say that
Ziggy.
respectfully, man. That was a great motivator and a good
Mhm.
sales.
Absolutely.
You don't
good
like
man.
Zig
Good
Ziglar?
man.
Didn't say I didn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm asking you.
Oh, yeah.
He does not want to commit
He
himself.
just
one way or
doesn't
another.
understand.
I don't
that's
know
all.
enough.
Oh,
Okay,
Yes,
that's fair.
exactly.
I like that.
Because he's a good
Riff.
man.
Reading is fundamental.
How do you spell read?
So
So,
let's get back to networking.
so John, you do networking from a trying to grow your clientele, trying to grow your business.
I'm very
whatever.
tactical about it.
Yep. I'm the opposite. So I have a very broad network
Mhm.
because of the business that I'm in. It
Yeah.
comes natural, right? Especially the companies that I've worked for have that name recognition out there. So I can kind of use that to get that big, broad term. What I'm using networking for is to hone it down.
So you got a big label, and
Do.
you need to bring it.
I need to bring it down to the
who's my
people
prospect.
I truly want to do business with.
Zeroing in.
Well, I think you're networking with prospects, right? And you're trying to get them out of the office, and that way you can.
Well, I have a ton of prospects. I'm trying to focus the ones that, one, I think that'll fit,
Mhm.
qualify, and also that I just want to do business with, right? Because
Interesting.
it goes that way for us too. We don't have to do business with everybody. We can choose who we do business with.
Yeah.
It's a different mindset, but I'm starting with a piece of metal, trying to hone it down to a really sharp ass machete.
Yeah.
And that's what networking does for me. So on the broad view of if I go into a conference and I see 1,000 booths, some people start at the bottom knowing nobody and try to get out there to do business with everybody.
Mhm.
I'm trying to, okay, I recognize all these players. I want to know one or two. When I leave here, I want to do business with one booth because I've established all of our trust and bonding rapport.
I love it.
And I want to get to that one guy. And then next year, I want to do business with that guy and booth 89 over there.
Well, and that comes to like having a goal around your networking, right? And a lot of people go to the networking events and the happy hours and the breakfasts, and they don't really have a goal. They don't have a process. They're just there
Yep.
because someone either told them to be there or they read in a book that they need to go network. If I'm going to a networking happy hour, my goal is to get 2 cards of people that I should follow up with because they're either like a power networker and they know everybody in town, or there's overlap between what I do and what they do. And then after that, I can go the hell home if I want, or I can hang out and drink.
So in my world, we do have some of those mega events, and I go knowing who's already supposed to be there.
Sure.
Right. So I do my homework ahead of time, and then I formulate a plan to find them and look for them, kind of like you do.
Mhm.
And then once I get that goal, then the rest of it's just party on, saying glad handing,
Exactly.
saying hi, how's your business? Did you see so and so?
And that's a
And-
whole other level around like conferences and trade shows
Sure.
and, having to travel and like, is this worth my time and stuff like
Right.
that. I mean, and, you got to put in your homework, right?
You
Whereas,
gotta know that when you show up, like you
Yeah.
said, because it's an out of town event.
absolutely.
If I get there and my targets aren't there, then I've wasted time.
Mhm.
Now there usually are. I mean,
I could literally in DFW go to enough small business networking to have a breakfast, a lunch, and a happy hour. every day of the work week.
People need to hear that, because I think too many times salesmen, all right, or I know sometimes if you want to be a big dog, you got to run on the porch, right? And if the porch is those events like inside your local arena, Clint's like,
No, I'm marinating. Go ahead.
yeah.
Keep going.
And then if it's an out of town event, you got to go with a separate game plan for that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not saying you can't do both, right?
Mhm.
I should probably do more of what you do. Not sure how it fits my dynamic, but I can see the value there. And so I guess the only thing I'm throwing out there is formulate a game plan for your networking with a desired goal and a target audience, and get
Yeah.
out there and get it.
So to that point, though, a really good friend of mine, he does mid-market commercial insurance, and he was in this networking group that I've been talking about on Thursdays at lunch. And he was there for a while, and he dropped away. And I followed up. I said, "Hey, man, where are you? I'm on the board, right? So I'm trying to keep attendance high." And he's like, "My prospects aren't in there." And so we sat down, and I was like, "Hey, do you think that they're within a range of like 2 degrees, or do you think?"
But what does that mean when you say that?
Well, because
I'm a stump over here.
the group itself is all small businesses, entrepreneurs, and kind of,
Okay, I get that.
range.
So then
He's
2
dealing
degrees,
with-
what does that mean in
You know,
networking?
Oh, so in my opinion, I don't need to surround myself with people who are prospects. I need to surround myself with people who are talking to potential prospects of mine. Like that to me is the win. And so when I'm thinking about
So 2
am I-
degrees outside of what you do.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Right.
gotcha now.
I'm kind of framing it in that way. And in his opinion, it wasn't. I said, okay, awesome. Now, where do you go to find those people? Like, are they going to trade shows? Are they going to seminars? Are they doing the kind of stuff that you guys are talking about? Or is it just a different style of networking group that's harder to get into and things like that?
Mhm.
But you got to be super careful about where you spend your time, right? Because it's really easy to just like check that box. Hey, I went to my networking group this week. Okay, great. What happened?
And what you do there.
playing or
Absolutely.
Exactly.
For sure.
Because you were talking about deputizing people earlier.
Mhm.
It's an interesting theory, because if you do it perfect, they go out and they speak your good word and they go spread your good name. But if you screw up, you do something bad, they can
Oh.
be just as effective the other way.
Absolutely. Right.
So-
And most people do it terribly. Hey, do you know anyone I should be talking to?
Well,
Nope. But if I think of anyone,
Well,
I'll let you know.
Because what can happen,
and
right?
they don't.
'Cause
Exactly.
this has happened to me before, where people have come to me and like, "Oh, do you know? Have you ever heard of this guy?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I know that fucking guy." Yeah, right. He's out there at every show.
Why
He's
is he
out-
here?
He's out
to kill him.
He's out there at every, he's speaking the same speech. He's telling everybody, and yeah, it may work, but between us two, we could have done a lot of business with that guy. And now we both will not, because you're feeding us a line of bullshit, because he's
gonna
heard it,
say.
he's heard it, he's heard
Yeah.
it, and he's heard it. So I caution people a little bit on, you got to be deliberate when you do networking.
Yeah,
Oh,
no
I-
BSing. You
Well,
I
can't.
agree.
And don't be sucked in by that clown, because we have them in our industry,
Sure.
right? The guy that's worked for every company out there, right?
Yeah.
And he's still in the game.
He knows everybody.
He knows everybody, but he's a bag
But
of
there's a
hot
re-
wind, right?
There's a reason that he
Oh,
knows everybody.
yeah, because he's shuffled
Or-
around.
Or there's a reason that everybody knows him, right? Because that works both ways. Like when you're in in the military and you're in boot camp, you either graduate and everybody knows your name for 2 reasons, right?
Yeah.
They know it because you suck, or they know it because you're great.
Yeah.
And the people that usually make it really well, nobody even knew who the hell
Absolutely.
they were.
You're flying under the radar.
Right, absolutely.
So
So you got to be careful.
And
the other
agree.
side of that is the networking, right? So I meet a lot of people who try to be all things to everybody, right? When I first started it,
Then their stories don't match.
exactly, right? and that's super important. I got invited to this Tuesday morning group, and I meet this guy in there, and he was like, "Man, I'm a marketing consultant. I don't build websites. I would love to send you my websites." I said, "Okay, awesome. What does that look like?" And we had all this back and forth, and so he's like, "Cool, let me bring you guys in on the next one." Right? We have another episode talking about how to manage that relationship between the yes and actually like doing a project. So I'm doing my follow up, and he's like, "Cool, I got someone. How much? What's your bid for this?" And I was like, "Whoa, man! Like this isn't how we work." When we spoke about this, we talked about working together on this deal, which in my world looks like a conversation with a prospect, either as your partner from another company, or you're more transparent and saying, "Hey, I work with these guys and they're a separate company, but I trust them and we're going to be really good to go." But if I can't talk to this person, I'm a no-go.
So he's going to be the intermediary for your
Exactly.
your product.
And so that way he can go to
that's
go
hard.
to the prospect and say, "Hey, I built this website for you and everything else." And I was like, that doesn't work
No.
for us. So
Yeah. Don't get ripped off out there, guys.
Well, because here's the deal. If that's your game and you're a white label provider, meaning that you sell your services to other people and they can just slap their label on top,
Yeah.
there's nothing inherently wrong with that. It's just that
No,
wasn't
no.
a good fit for how we wanted to
But
work.
you need to be upfront that I'm going to repackage what you
Absolutely,
do
right?
under my label. You good with that? I mean, that's a
I was
business
new.
conversation
I was
on the
new.
back end.
I was
Yeah.
excited. And,
So-
and this guy wanted to send us some business, so I got super excited, and I made some assumptions, right? And I mean, I'm going to put this on a T-shirt. Assumptions are
What
death,
is that keyword?
right? Assumptions are death. Do not
Never
make assumptions.
assume.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
True.
I
Well,
agree.
networking in a simple sense is like building a spider web. You're at the very center and you're trying
yeah,
to add another
absolutely.
layer, right?
Mhm.
And how you do that, we're all going to do it a little bit different. And because we all have different reasons of why we're doing what we're doing, right? You know, let's just say you're an Instagram model. You start with one, you put a picture up, now you got 100, now you got 1,000, now you got 1,000,000. Now you're a superstar, right? That's building a network. The same
Absolutely.
way as if I go to a conference and I start handing out business cards, right?
Mhm.
You're trying to build your followers.
Yeah.
In kind of modern day social media lingo here, you're building your following base. And you want those people to tell other people, hey, you need to go follow this guy.
Yeah.
Right? This guy is killing it right now. You got to go follow this guy. I only follow that guy. In this business, that's the guy I do business. So I caution you on when you're actually networking, you're building that rapport with those people to go out. Excuse me. To go out. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that hurt. To go out and to build that one way or another, good or bad. Right. So you do it bad.
Because it's your
they're gonna build it bad.
reputation that's on
And
the line.
people follow you because you're bad. They will.
Oh,
They'll
yeah.
watch you.
Well, they'll because again, it's not in the way you need them to be
Yeah,
followed.
how
Well,
to do business.
So
and I know that's the take-home message there.
yeah, I guess what I'm saying is in social media today that people follow people because they hate them or love them.
Oh,
and
okay.
people-
Oh, that's really interesting.
Now,
people-
that's a good point.
And people in business will also do that because there's a lot of people in my business. I'm like, man, I got to keep track of that guy because I love watching him just screw this stuff up.
Well, there's also this idea that at the networking events, I wasn't thinking about this until you said it, but there are some people that are, oh, I'm so busy. Things are so. If you're that busy, why are you coming to the networking lunch? Really? You know? And so
Why
and
are
so-
you here?
Exactly, right? You kind of build this facade around these people and you're not really being your true authentic self. Whereas
And-
I go the other way. Like, hey, last week sucked. Like, and if anyone wants to hear the details, I'm happy to tell you. But like last week was a rough week for me. And that's okay, because that's gonna happen. And I think when with your social media metaphor of, you know, you only promote the good stuff and
Yeah.
I think that happens
That
a lot
doesn't
in
build
networking.
bonding and rapport.
Well,
To
you're not
me,
being honest or
Well,
authentic.
But it's okay to say, things are going well, but even when they're going well, we still face
Yeah,
issues.
still
And
hungry.
So keep it real.
Exactly.
And
Look-
if you're doing really good, pick up the fucking tab.
You
right?
can-
Oh, my thing is if I invite, and I've told other people this, if I invite you to a coffee, I'm buying the coffee.
Yeah.
Like that's the tax on my part of having hopefully a good conversation.
Absolutely. Did everybody
Oh,
hear
for
that out
sure.
there? Bring
Don't
your
split the
wallet
tab.
when you go
Don't be
to a
cheap.
networking.
Yeah.
if
Because
you,
here's
if
the
you
deal.
invite me, period. That was the word I needed to hear. You invited me.
Right. And so then here's what happens
You're buying.
99 times out of 10. I say, cool, I got it. I pick up the tab and they say, man, you don't have to do that. And I was like, you know what? Next time we'll go out again. We'll go out for like whiskey and then you can buy. It's gonna be way more expensive.
Sure.
And then everyone's now thinking like, oh, he's gonna want to hang out again.
Mhm.
This is gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
Right.
Be
So-
tactful when you're out there and exercise some good judgment, because this isn't just being silly and stupid when you're out there. Have a lot of fun, but have a goal in mind, and then have some, understand how this works.
It's also
right?
the long game.
Yeah.
Right. We had a guy who came to the group. He was there for 2 weeks and then he left. And I sent him a message. I was like, hey, it seemed like you were enjoying the group. What happened? I haven't seen you in a couple of weeks. He's like, well, my boss said that it wasn't worth my time. I said, okay, how'd you come to that decision? He's like, well, I didn't get any business. I said, you've been here 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How much business are you expecting to get in
Yeah.
2 weeks?
Well,
It's a process.
It is a process, right?
yeah, and you gotta. But the thing is it may not be the business. It may be the connections, right?
For
So
sure.
Exactly.
one of-
Yeah, you got to hang out in a target-rich
exactly.
environment, though.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that you can make a mistake as a salesperson, because most companies, I've worked for both. Some don't give a shit what you do. Hey, you went to a conference, great. What'd you get? Oh, I got a few business cards. Cool, man. Success, yeah. Thumbs high. I mean, I've been in that company. I've also been in the other company where you go and it's like, okay, what training cycles did you go through? What kind of literature did you get? How many people did you meet? Did you scan all the business cards that you got? I've been in that environment too, right? That's John's world.
That's my jam.
But I like that too, though.
Agreed.
Right?
But
From a management perspective, it's super great, but at some point you got to trust the people you work with.
agreed. But the point of it is that if you didn't get anything, what were you really doing there? So
Well,
it's kind of validation on both sides, right? Like
Right.
anybody can just say, "Oh, it's fantastic, man. I'm going to get so much business out of there."
Mhm.
It's another thing to track it, because I think you should a little bit.
I mean,
Yeah.
tracking is huge. There was a
Of course it is.
I'm not asking you.
John, you're going to say huge every time
Well,
some
but
data
here-
event
yeah.
hits the plate. No, I'm just saying you're always going to say that's huge.
But why is that bad?
Nothing. I
Okay,
didn't say it
okay,
was.
all right.
I just said you're always
just
going to
asking.
use that verbiage when we start talking data.
It's huge, right?
Well,
Because you know what?
But you got to use it.
If you don't have data, you're just going against guts.
Well,
right?
so
like,
here's-
what does your gut say versus
Here's
what
the
does my
thing
gut
is
say?
that most personalities aren't going to do that. They're not
Oh,
going
I
to track the
know.
data. That's why,
I get that.
in my
That's the
opinion,
point I was trying to make.
In
Yeah,
my-
no, I get it.
in my opinion, you either have somebody on your team that is a CRM. Literally, that's what they do for you. They track your CRM from your salespeople. They go get all the data from your salespeople, or you hire a third party, John, right? I mean, but honestly, a guy
Yeah.
like you to go do that third party, because there's so much information there, and typical salespeople are run and gun type of people. They're D's
Well,
in their eyes. Their eyes and
But
their
hold
D's.
on though, right? The four of us all know, because we've all met these people who love to talk a bunch of, for lack of a better term, shit about how
Sure.
busy they are and how big their pipeline is.
Yeah. What are you doing here?
Show me. Show it to me. Because if
Right.
you can't show it to me, this all lives in your head, and that doesn't do anybody any good.
Because I will
Accountability,
tell you
yeah.
that if you go to, and I think you'll agree with this, and possibly, I know Nan will, I look at all the vendors who came to sell, all the participants that were coming, because they give those lists out.
Mhm.
And if you can take that and then figure out how many of those people you went by, what you did with
I do
them,
that.
and who they were connecting and who you saw around those particular booths,
Yep.
Yeah.
then now you have the connection of what they're buying, what they like to buy, who they're doing business with, or
Well-
who they're palling around, and you can interject yourself into that little microcosm of the
Yeah.
bigger network, right? I
Absolutely.
mean,
That's good.
that's how I approach it.
So networking to me is tough, because as a sales manager, or even like even the president of a company, or maybe even an owner, right? You're looking at your salespeople who are already on your overhead, right?
Mhm.
They already cost you money if you're paying them a salary plus commission, right? Commission's one thing because they're bringing in
earn
business
that.
and you're earning
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
But if you're
an
paying
earn.
them
That's
a
a whole
sal-
show by itself.
Yeah, if you're paying them a salary, you're looking. I'm like, dude, you're already costing me money by you showing up today.
Mhm.
Now you want to go do this conference. Now you want to go write me. You want me to sign off on this bar tab for $1,200. What the hell did you get out of it?
Yeah.
Right. So if you do networking correctly, that should be a really easy question to answer. I mean, it really should.
Well, let me ask you. Let me point something out, because you just brought up a thing. So yeah, you get to that, but I think the question I always ask is, when I see the booth and I see the prospect, and I know we all kind of revolve, I ask a couple of questions. Oh, hey, are you guys doing business together? Right? Because a lot of times, you know what they'll say is, no, I wish we were. Right? The guy came by to look, but isn't buying.
Yeah.
So now I want to know, okay, he's not buying from him. Who's he buying from? Who's he doing business with?
He's doing business with somebody.
Somebody, because
Yeah.
he's there.
Yeah.
Right? And so I guess what I'm saying is, don't look below the surface.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Oh,
a
yeah.
there's a reason to dig down a
Well-
little bit deeper. Just because two people are standing in the room doesn't mean they like each other.
So
Absolutely.
basically, what you're saying, networking is investigating. You're figuring out the.
Absolutely.
You've got to figure out every.
You want to know what the
layer.
connections are, how these dots
Yeah.
are connected, or even if they're connected at all. Just like I said, just because you're in the same event doesn't mean you're connected. Maybe the guy's shopping, which is a good indication that he's not happy where he is. Right?
That's
This is, in my opinion, one of the coolest shows we've done, because it's such a breadth of like how we view
Different.
it and how we use it.
What I think is funny is that at the very beginning we said that Nan absolutely kills it at networking,
And she's
and we
been
haven't
quiet
let
as-
her. We haven't let her say a
know.
word.
She does.
She's so
needs to
nice and lets
speak.
us talk.
So Nan, I gotta know, when
Yes.
you're in that room just killing it,
Yes.
going around, what
Right.
is your secret sauce? What is your driver?
Nobody throw up, but it is literally. I really want to know everyone in that room. I really care, and
Well,
I know that I can take. I know. I'm sorry, Clint. Sorry about the D. We thought you were throwing up earlier.
I
but
know,
anyway. But anyway, it's true. I want to, and I know how advantageous it is to get to know people beyond just their surface. Everyone's there. Okay, so at the Christmas party,
Yeah.
everyone's there because they want to eat and drink and look hot in front of everybody else that they normally are just in scrubs, right? Okay.
Yeah.
But really, if you go up and hang with 5 minutes with what John was saying, with this person and that person, you get, the stuff you find out. And to Dr. Daniel's point, you also get to find out what they're doing, who they're working with, and that's advantageous, especially in our field, because our networking is not usually like.
It's more sleuthing, it sounds like, than it is.
Well, you've got to
the
do
way
it
that I view
because
it.
we
Good
don't
word.
have, again, a million people.
Well, here's what I think Nan probably won't say about herself. Sales is hard, right? It's
Yeah,
hard on all
we
of
talk
us.
about that.
And when you get this moment where you kind of let your guard down, you want a soft place to land. Somebody who you think's honest, is sincere about what they say to you. That they're and there's where I think Nan does her best work. Is people
Trust her.
they trust exactly. You hit it.
So, okay, so I want to go back to that night.
Okay, and I want to. Okay, go ahead. I'm
well,
not going to interrupt
I
you.
was going to say, because in our world, right, whenever I worked with you guys, there was like the Christmas time with all the Christmas parties, and then there's a couple of big seminars. A big kind of like trade shows, for lack of a better term. They're not really trade shows, but they kind of end up kind of going that way. So whenever we walked into Del Frisco's Grill that night, other than the open bar, which we both made liberal use of.
Not me. I have no idea what he's talking about.
Oh, come on, McAllen 25. Come on.
Okay, go ahead. Moving on.
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. What do you walk into that room with a goal? Do you walk in there with, I'm trying to meet certain people, or are you just taking it kind of, what are you trying to get?
So when you said you walk in there with a goal, my thought was, so you're chasing two rabbits. You're only gonna, you're gonna lose both of them. So no, yeah, of course, everyone has a goal. If you don't have a goal,
That's a great proverb.
then
right?
how silly is it? You have to have a goal. My
Yeah.
goal is not to go in and necessarily gain an account as much as gain relationship, because that's the perfect environment. So often I've heard, I could name 10 people, which of course I won't, that are in business and they have said to me, well, I'm not going to the bar. I'm not going to do this. And I don't have enough time. I need to go home with my family, or I don't go out and fraternize after hours or go to the happy hour. I guarantee you can look across the board. If you do not go out and network or build relationships outside of the work environment, you are going to fail. You have to, networking for us, is, like I said, is more just building the relationships with the people that we already know, because that, it spills over to other people.
So it sounds like it's a little bit like Clint's version of networking, right? Because I don't really think Clint is deputizing other people to try to bring in new traffic. I think that for
And
the
we
three
don't
of you,
either.
I know exactly,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
think
we don't
that
deputize.
I think that the three of you guys are looking at networking as much more of like bonding and rapport outside of the office.
Trying to get to the next level.
Is that fair?
Exactly.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But because
fair.
what it'll do is, and I think Nan would agree with me, you will gain insight, okay, that you didn't have before
Mhm.
about that individual and other things that they do and other conversations that you can have with them, right, about their other interests. Because you get into, the rut of just business. And if you're going to, again, take it to the next level, it becomes that, where do your kids, these other personal aspects start to unfold. And then you will meet other people because they're sitting in a group and one person, and you probably need to know the other 3 or 4 that are standing there. Right?
Absolutely.
And
let's-
Nan does it better than anybody with, hey, girl, how are you doing? Or, hey,
Yeah.
dude,
But
how are you?
a few minutes
Let me
ago,
introduce you to, who's this
Hold on.
person?
Dr. Daniel, you made reference to John meeting someone in your business, and the initial meet didn't go well because there was nothing that bonded y'all. Then later, just recently, apparently, you had this great bond. Well, that's not going to normally happen in business. It happened, and now that this has happened, but that can be created outside of, when you're networking. That's when you can really bond with people genuinely, not BS.
No, I agree.
And that's what you did.
sometimes self-performing the work to a really good quality is networking.
Say that
So-
again.
Sorry.
Self-performing?
Like when you do the things that you say you're going to do.
Oh,
right?
self-promoting.
No, well, I said self-performing, literally doing what you say you can do.
Oh,
right?
okay.
Performing on the level that you said you could do it at the quality you preached, right? Sometimes that is in itself networking, because that guy now is going to go out and say, look,
Yeah,
that
that's
guy
fair.
killed it, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes focusing outwards,
Yeah.
trying to find new customers and new client base.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need to focus on the people that you're already doing business with and kill it with those guys and let those guys go network for you.
So that's
So do
basically
you-
word of mouth.
Okay, but do you ask for a referral? that point?
I'm not a big referral guy.
That's a whole other
It-
conversation.
it is.
I know we
but-
could go sideways.
We
here, but-
don't
Sorry,
want
I
to
didn't mean to
sideways.
bring it up. But
And
it
tune
sounded
in next
like,
week.
So referrals, yeah. I mean, that's a good time when you've had a successful project for somebody, to do that, right?
Mhm.
They can do that. What I want to happen is that naturally,
Yeah.
right? So I didn't ask for it. They just did
But
it.
how is that different from hoping, though?
No,
mean,
it
Well,
isn't.
hold on, because my network, the network that I work in is very tight, right?
Okay.
Same as probably the doctors, right? Like, hey, who do you use to provide this? Right.
Or-
Well,
yeah.
Mhm.
And, and you're like, good company. Yeah.
yeah, I only use this guy. One, he's fun to hang around with.
Yeah.
He's a cut up man. He knows his shit. He can sit in there in that operating room with me and tell me things that I never knew about, right? And that's only because you performed those things.
So, okay, hold on one second, though. I'm really curious. Does that happen a lot in your role, Clint? To where you kill it on a job and then someone reaches out and they're like, "Hey, I
Yes.
need someone who does this," and like, "Hey, man, you got to talk to Clint."
Absolutely.
Okay. Does that? I've never seen that happen. Whenever I worked with Al and Annette.
It doesn't.
Well, no.
Because they're-
hold
because
on.
everybody's out
It
for
does.
themselves.
But
It
you might
does.
not never know.
No,
But
hold on.
reputation.
But you know
is-
why? You know where it happens? Because people will call me and I'll say, not what I do. Here's the guy you need to call. Okay, whether that happens, whether or not that is reciprocated back to me,
Mhm.
but when you're trying to solve a solution and I don't have the best answer, if I give you the best answer and that guy I know will perform, because if I give you what I think is the best answer and it's not the best answer and it
Yeah.
stinks, guess what?
Yeah,
I
you're gonna hate
failed.
me. Yeah.
But you know what? When I give you the best answer and it is the best answer,
Sure.
I succeed because you'll come to me with every one of your problems after that. And I have offices that do that.
Absolutely.
So it benefits me in a backhanded way.
But doesn't that make it hard for you to want to do referrals to other people? Because
No.
because doesn't that also inherently mean you don't want to refer to anyone who you haven't experienced their service?
Well, I know their reputations because I've been out at the parties. I've been there. I've been in the OR. I've
Yeah.
been through the hospital system. You know the whole start to finish of the process. I know the groundwork that's the day in and day out. I know the aftermath. I know
Okay.
whether they're going to badger. I know whether they're going to be a pain in the ass, like we've talked about in other areas.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Right.
That's something interesting, because I think I just realized that I do this a lot, where I'll be in with customers and I can't, like right now I'm going through this. I can't really break open that door yet because I'm brand new to the market and brand new to the company, but I've heard them say a
That's
name.
because of the people are just catching up
Yeah.
because of
Job
the
change.
Yeah, just job
recently.
change.
new
Yep.
VP position that
Yep.
you just took in a different city, same
different
arena.
city,
Beep.
yeah, kind of a different, even a little bit different market, but
He's
Yeah.
an officer. He's no longer enlisted.
there you go.
Man, dude, you got the jet airplane, the corporate.
Not
You're
even
the
close.
you're the C-suite, bro. I just want to see what it looks like.
Wanna-
You need to invite me down there for lunch, man, so I can walk around with you.
It's smaller.
I know it.
Yeah, it's smaller than my last office.
Oh,
No, I will. So
The front seat of your car.
yeah, the funny thing is I've heard these newer customers say, not even a competitor, but just a different person, like a vendor, right?
Mhm.
I've heard them say a certain name a few times. Networking for me now is to go find that guy and befriend him, right? Because he's
now,
Is that hard for you?
Were they being positive or
no,
negative?
yeah, very
oh,
positive.
okay.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
couldn't tell whether it was a
take the
negative.
positive
Or,
one of like,
okay, so some guy
Man,
that's really not
when
going to.
we need rooftop units for our new building, this is the guy we always go to, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I love that guy. Oh yeah, I love that guy." Right?
Wow.
So is that okay? Hold
It's
on.
kind of
Hey, that
it's
guy.
indirect networking,
I want to
but
get into this here, right? Because
you know me, I'm deliberate and I'm very tactical.
exactly, right? Which is but it sounds like this is like overlap of center of influence, right? Because if a guy's known for doing like really good like roof work, he probably doesn't do exactly what you do.
He
Therefore, you
doesn't
guys
do
can work
anything
together.
what I do.
Now,
right?
okay, so
But
that's huge.
But he's bought in.
right.
They
Go-
bought into his word.
Exactly. Go find the people who sell to your same customers, but don't
That's-
do the exact
that's what
same
I'm
thing that you
saying.
do. And
But
go,
our superstars
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying.
and get to know. I
Yeah.
agree, and
That
I
has
do
totally
that
happened,
all
yes.
day long.
Me too.
So what
That
happens for Clint whenever someone is doing the same thing, and then everyone is talking about this person and not you, as a D?
Let's just say they're my competitor.
Exactly.
I'm
yeah.
like, instantly, I got to know what they do.
I
I
want
got to
to
know
But
why.
do
I
you,
wanna
do
be
you reach out
this-
to them,
I
or
wanna
do
be
you,
so
do you
close to 'em.
sleuth it, or like how do you figure that
Oh,
out?
recon game is strong, baby.
but hold on, but I go into their, I go meet them, right?
Yeah, sure.
Along
I'll
with that
try.
recon.
If there is
Because
a
if
way,
they think they're being, if they're that good, they know when they're being stalked.
Look,
so
if
you
there-
just get right
if
there.
there's
in
a
their
way-
face.
Absolutely.
if there's a way that I can spend some time around them, I'm gonna do it. Whether it's face to face in a meeting, me hijacking their networking event where I stand in with an ear leaned in a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna find out.
As a D, though, my view of a D is that they would see that as a challenge and be like, you know what, fuck that
It
guy.
is.
But hold on, though. How much is this normal for you, or is this normal now with you and
No,
your
it's
awareness?
very normal for me
Really?
to hear somebody's the greatest, and me have to beat the greatest. I've got to train to beat the greatest, and therefore I need to figure out everything that person does well, does bad, everything.
Because
Huh.
you you know you can beat this guy, right? There's no challenge there.
If somebody tells
I'm
me,
not saying it's wrong. I'm just trying to figure it out, because to me, I went and from the
But
way
it's
that
task.
I view a D. No, I get that it's a task, but I just think about it as you being, you know what, fuck that guy.
oh, okay, you can.
I'm better than that
Once
guy.
again, ignorant ass D, right?
Yeah.
That's an ignorant
That's what I'm
D.
talking about. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's an ignorant
that-
D.
but that's
A
not,
D that truly lives to his potential and wants to win.
Mhm.
Well, there's many ways of winning, right? You can jump in the ring with no
I mean, it's all
talent, no
about how
training,
you frame it, right?
right? And think you're the
Didn't you
baddest
do a
planet.
fight like that once?
I did, absolutely.
How'd that work out?
And
for
I
you?
lost.
There goes the we kind of.
Yeah,
I love it. I love
absolutely.
it,
I
man.
mean, I've been that person before where I've hopped in a cage fight and said, I know exactly how to do this. I'm a bad mother effer. And the video gamer kid with the pumpkin pie haircut that did he did jujitsu 5 times a week, whipped the shit out of me.
love it.
And look, guys, that's what happens, right? I mean, you come in with no training, you come in with no expectations other than I'm gonna go win. Yeah, you might get lucky. Let's put it that way. You might get lucky. The more tactical, deliberate side says, let's go figure out what he's doing great. And it may be even asking those guys, what does that guy do that's so freaking great? And it's even easier when he's not in your industry, right?
Oh,
When
yeah.
he's a customer just like you could be, and you look at that guy and you say, hey, man, that guy provides you all this stuff. What does he do so well? Well, dude, every time I call, he answers. Every time I turn my shoulder, he's
exactly.
there.
You emulate at that
Well,
point, right?
Sure.
I
Yeah,
do
Up
that.
your game.
Well, you take the things that you can
do.
do, right? Because you might not be able to do all of them. It might just not be your style.
Sure.
But you got to do as many
yeah.
as you can.
I did that.
And don't fake it. Look, if you're not willing to sacrifice your morals to get
Absolutely,
there, don't
right.
do that.
Absolutely right.
That's not a customer for you.
That's the fine. Oh man, yeah. Hold on, I'm getting amped up
Yeah,
because
no, that's
I would do
good.
that
Truly.
in website world, right? Because most of the people had already had a website. Okay, awesome. What'd you like about the last experience? Oh, I didn't like any of it. Okay, tell me more about that. What didn't you like? Well, they were hard to get a hold of. We never knew what we were doing. Cost an arm and a leg. Okay, what does an arm and a leg mean? First of all, all of that stuff. I don't get the opportunity to do that as much because usually whenever people are hiring me, they've never worked with someone who's doing what I'm doing before. But I miss that because if you can ask those questions, what'd you like about the other guy? What'd you hate? And then you let him and them fight, and as opposed to you bashing your competition, which never helps you.
Yeah.
You then are getting told exactly what they view as success,
Well-
and without even having to guess or make assumptions, which we
Sure.
know is terrible.
And it goes back to it's even better if you don't use your competitor
What do
or
you mean?
your
What do you mean?
incumbent. So like in my world, right, my customer will have 9 or 10 subcontractors, a roofer, a concrete guy, me, a plumber.
And real quick, are you a sub?
I am a sub.
You are a sub.
Yep.
Okay, so you're not like the GC or anything
Nope.
else like
Sounds
that.
like a bottom.
No, I'm mid. I'm mid.
That's an expression I didn't
All
expect
right,
that to
let's
come
get
out.
back on track. Talking about
Sorry,
subcontractors.
just had to throw that out there.
Man,
That's a little
leave it to the
Terrible
eye.
version.
So there-
construction humor from a guy who's not in construction. That's what that was.
You saw how well that landed, right?
Yeah.
Not well. I'm going to get my ass beat later, guys. So.
And I'll take my hands out of my pockets.
There's going to be a GoFundMe page for my medical bills later.
Okay, all right. So,
But-
back on track.
You know, that guy subs out concrete work or plumbing or whatever HVAC, and you're one of those things. It's best not to trash the people that are in your lane.
Oh, it doesn't help you at all.
Not even
Ever,
trash, but
ever,
don't even
ever,
ask
ever.
about those guys. Ask about what the plumber or the concrete guy that you
No,
use solely, because I find out over and over and over again that when I talk about like, oh, we're only getting a bid from this one concrete guy, we're only using a bid from this plumber, but when it comes to HVAC, you're shopping 14 of us. What's going on?
That's
Why,
really
right?
interesting.
So why are these guys sole source and you're bidding us out? Well, because you never had good coverage. Okay, well, why did these guys cover you so well?
So
What do
you
they
find
do?
out
Love
about what they're looking for in their coverage, right?
Absolutely.
You
Because it
find out how
doesn't
to
matter.
cater
You're-
to the person you're
Yeah,
trying to sell
it
to.
goes
Absolutely.
back. It goes back to the same thing of like you only buy toilet paper from that one freaking guy.
Feels so
why
good.
do you buy from that one guy? Why don't you shop him out? You're shopping us out.
Yeah, I take kind of a similar approach, right? But I say not so much now because I don't have as much people who are doing the same thing that I do. But in website world, it's like, okay, who helped you with the last website? Well, this company over here. Okay, how come you're not talking to them again?
Mhm.
That's the first thing I want to find
Sure.
out. Because are you just price shopping? You know, well, it didn't go very well. Oh, I've heard nothing but good things about those guys. You know, what happened in your experience?
Can I stop you for a second?
Yeah, go ahead.
When you say price shop, so this happens a lot, right? You're obviously not using them because you weren't happy for some reason. You're out there looking, right? And for whatever reason, you got my number,
Mhm.
right? Now I'm at the table talking about something that you're just wanting to check and make sure everything that they're providing for you is true and honest, right? That's a price check,
Well,
right?
so many people don't know how to price anything
Sure.
because they don't do any research. I'm the opposite.
So
As we
so
talked about.
maybe this is me being a high D, but that's a really good time where I interject. Okay, so hold on. If you're just price shopping, what's their price point that they're at? Right? Let's
Mhm.
find that out. $10 per unit, and I can get to 9 and provide you the same coverage. Do we have a deal? Like that?
I hate that.
Well, don't word it like that. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
Well, but you don't have
but
to
what
word
I'm-
it very much
what I'm saying is-
differently. I mean, you just have to maybe soften it a
Well,
little bit. if
because
it doesn't
the way
fit
that I
you.
phrase that,
But what
right, at least
I'm saying is, don't miss opportunities when you're networking and talking about those other
Okay,
things.
no, I agree.
Yeah, because you're exactly right. Because that'll come up in that conversation as you
Absolutely.
have the drink in your hand,
Yep.
and you're like, "Well, what if you got it?"
Because you might close a deal just like that. You really might.
okay, true.
What-
Okay, but
So
okay,
just what I'm saying is, don't when you're hearing those things, right? You can write them down. You can jot them in the back of your
But if
noggin
the
and move on.
opportunity presents, make your pitch
Don't be
right
s-
then and there. Do
Oh,
not
I'm going
miss
the
I
other
know,
way.
that.
I know you don't, but
opportunity.
you're very calculated, right?
but hold on though. Even in website world, I'm going the other way, right? I'm saying, hey, it got to the point where everyone was telling me that they're going to call 5 people. Okay, so then I start making the assumption, and I would talk about it. Hey, Al, I'm assuming that since we're on the phone, you probably talked to 3 or 4 other agencies. How do those conversations go? Right. Well, pricing's all over the place. Okay, awesome. Anyone line it up with kind of what you were thinking it was going to be? Well, actually, no, John, not at all. Okay, why do you think that's happening? And I would dig into it from there. But to me, that's all happening as part of my budget conversation. And I don't have to do this as much now, but I don't have to deal with bids as much as
Sure.
Clint does now.
Well, I'm saying that you don't get very many opportunities, right, to really hit home runs, so to speak. So, like when that opportunity comes up, that might be time to move this conversation along and start qualifying, like right here,
Yeah,
right now.
don't. I guess, and if what I'm hearing you say, and what's speaking to me is in these networking events, which is what we're talking about. When that conversation comes up via a roundabout way about another person they're doing business with, and then it kind of segues back to what you do.
Mhm.
If the opportunity is to provide,
Yeah.
them.
Don't miss your opportunity to qualify right then and there.
Don't set the meeting. Go for the conversation about why they should buy
Because-
from you. What
Okay,
where
yeah.
that should go.
'Cause
I'm
Mo-
getting a little too in the weeds around talking around
Yeah.
like how they get to yes.
Right.
Which is a huge part of like how I do business now and with the website world, because I would just kind of assume that, right? And then people are like, okay, we'd love for you guys to submit a bid. And I would love to be like, okay, awesome. I'd love to see your RFQ. I'm sorry, my what?
Yeah.
Your RFQ, your request for quote. Oh, well, we don't have one of those. Oh, well, typically whenever people are asking for a bid, they've got a whole packet about the capabilities and the timelines and
But
the
what
costs
you're
and
doing
everything
right
else.
there is qualifying, and if you
Oh, I absolutely am, but I'm doing it in a way so that way they're understanding like, oh, I'm just trying to blatantly take advantage of all these salespeople I'm talking to.
I'm letting the Scotch do the quote for me.
Yeah.
Right?
Sign here, buddy. No, we're
I know
doing
that's a little bit of a
Nanette's got
segue.
something. Hold on.
No,
Nanette,
I'm
what do you
good,
got?
I'm good, I'm
Well, you
It's
hit the
the-
pad. Come on, you got something to say.
No, I'm good.
Well, throw it down.
No, I'm done. But I mean, I'm not done. I mean, no.
Are you quitting so soon?
No, I just
What do you mean that the Scotch qualifies them?
It was a tongue-in-cheek quote.
Tongue-in-cheek
Yeah,
quote that
there's no
when
need
the
to investigate.
opportunity's there, maybe the client is
Quit being
relaxed
so
because
analytical.
yeah,
I'm Captain Obvious, right? I mean,
right.
I'm Captain Literal.
Well, and Captain Literal actually has your moments there too, right? Where you don't have to set the whole process up. You skip. It's like a free pass to skip jail. Go to the go around the board, right?
Okay.
Buying Park Place, baby.
Exactly. And because you saw that opportunity, the time's right, and that they're out there in these networking events.
Nanette is looking at me and laughing at it. I don't know what she's laughing at. What are you laughing at?
absolutely nothing.
4
Here
minutes.
we go.
All right,
minutes
so it's
to throw
time. Let's get into the throwdown. All right, networking from a D in. Let's talk about construction specifically.
Oh. Well, it's going to be tough for you to want to have in-depth conversations in networking that don't deal with task and, directives, right? You got to get it past a little bit. You got to open the door a little bit to yourself. Vulnerability is big. Checking that ego is big. So when somebody finally tells you their favorite fishing story, you don't say, "Oh yeah, by the way, I caught a bigger fish than that last year." Right? I mean,
Oh, shit.
that's a big. I mean, but that's a typical trait of a D, right? Is to one up you. I'm the champion. I'm the greatest. Well,
Yes, you
be the greatest. Be it, but do it from a point of professionalism, and let the other people talk. Let them tell you their doubts, their fears, their strengths, their weaknesses. Harbor all that stuff. Put it in a bubble, and then start making decisions out of that. But I'm going to tell you right now, the best networking that I do is probably when I cover my own mouth with my hand. Literally.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, ask a question, put your hand over your mouth, lean against the table, and freaking listen for a
Let
minute.
them tell you their story.
I mean, I'm serious.
Yeah.
That sounds jokingly, but
No, that's life.
I'm
That's
serious.
the truth about all of us.
I mean, I will, if you can see me on YouTube, I will cross one arm and I will cover my mouth and I'll ask a question and
I
listen.
do this a lot,
Yeah, there you go.
and I'll just sit right here
Yep.
with like one finger over
Yeah,
my mouth.
put your finger. And all it does, it's just it's a little tick that gets you to stop talking for a second.
Yeah.
And it's not going to work every time, but guys, ask questions. Really care about the questions you're asking, because if you don't, just don't, because
and
it'll end
listen.
bad, right? Like, this is a lot of practice.
Yeah.
Get in these environments, work your routines. Really make sure that what you're asking you care about, and you're listening to the answer. Because
There we
if they
go.
tell you what you need to hear, you better remember that shit, because they're going to expect it from you down the road.
Absolutely. Al, networking.
I think guards get dropped when you're out in a social setting that's outside of the normal business pattern. I think you get the backstory a lot of times. I think you build rapport, and you should be mining for opportunities while you're doing all of that. And if the opportunity presents itself, make the deal right there. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay.
Don't force it, but when it presents, know what that looks like and make that deal right then and there.
Nanette.
So don't let it be wasted time. I think it's really important to go into each situation, as I said about the whole rabbit thing, have a focus and know that strong people, this is kind of probably a little dorky, but strong people are inspired by others, but even stronger people inspire others. So go into those networking events or after hours or whatever, and think about what you're going to do what are you going to bring to that person the people you meet.
Wow. Okay. Awesome. For me as a C, recognize the fact you're playing the long game, right? If you're networking and you're taking my approach to where you're going to the chamber events or BNI events or whatever that looks like, your goal is not to sell to the people in the room. It's trying to have conversations with those people so that way they will actively refer to you. And understand that that takes time. And that doesn't happen in the meeting. You got to get them out of that room. You got to get down for a coffee or a beer or lunch or whatever that looks like in your world. So that way you can really dig in and build some sort of relationships. That way you have a shot of being top of mind. I think that's kind of all I got to say, which is a drastically different approach from how you guys handle networking. So,
And don't be afraid to stretch those alligator arms and pick up that tab.
absolutely, right? If you invite someone out, you should pick up the tab. And if you want business or referrals or anything else, pick up the tab because that's going to lead to them wanting to take you out and pick up your tab.
They will
So,
reciprocate
Absolutely.
9 out of 10 times. And if they don't, you don't need to be doing business.
Absolutely. Some people are just takers and they're not givers, and you
Yeah,
got
Stay away.
to
so
figure out
true.
how to suss that out. So awesome, everybody. Once again, if you're listening to this and you're getting some value out of it, you know someone else in sales who is struggling or wants to improve, please share this with them. It's hard enough, as we talked about up here already. If you want to take the assessment because you're not really sure, maybe you're somewhere between Clint and Al, or Al and Annette, or some other combination of that, reach out to us, assessments@salesthrowdown.com. Follow us on social media. Everything is at Sales Throwdown. And we'll talk to everybody real soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.